How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, giving you guys your weekly forecast of what the heck is going on in the universe. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing to all my videos, liking my Facebook at White Light Astrology, following me on Twitter at White Light Cam, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, I thank you even more. If you guys haven't heard of Patreon, go ahead and check it out. I offer exclusive content on there just for my patrons. It's a really awesome way to, not only for me to give you guys more content, but for you guys to also support me in what I do as well. So if you guys haven't heard of it, check it out. I would super appreciate it. But anyway, let's kind of get started on this week. This week isn't really the biggest deal in the world. We're still dealing with stuff from last week of full moon in Scorpio and these very subtle yet inevitable changes. Now, on Monday, the moon is going to conjunct Jupiter, so all this stuff that we've really been feeling on Saturday and Sunday as we got to this full moon are really going to be brought to this philosophical, heightened Jupiter sense of, okay, is this my truth? Is this what I believe? Jupiter is all about beliefs and the way that we really base our beliefs off, based off the world around us and the generalizations that we really make. Where are we taking ourselves? What do we really believe? Is this the philosophy? Is this the spirituality that we really want to invest ourselves in? And as the moon conjuncts it, this is going to bring all of these full moon and Scorpio emotions to your face and kind of be like, well, is this what you feel? Is this what you believe? And if that's so, what do you have to work with on the internal level? Because Jupiter is retrograde. We're really looking at like, whoa, do I really believe that? Is that really what my truth is? Am I really in alignment with that energy? And as the moon conjuncts Jupiter, you got to ask yourself, is this what you believe? Is this your truth? And it may be a little bit hard to face, but with Jupiter right here, it's going to be really easy. It's going to be like, hey, it is okay to make this easy. It is okay to make this fun. It is okay to make this a good experience. It doesn't always have to be bad. With that being said, on Monday, it's also going to be sextiling Mars and Pluto. With that being said, this is having a little bit more of drastic changes, a little bit of touch of it. Like, I like to think of sextile as like a friends with benefits relationship. It's kind of just like a little splash of flirtiness and, kind of like, it's like a flirt almost in a sense. So with Pluto kind of flirting with Jupiter there, when the moon conjuncting Jupiter, Pluto's kind of like, hey, this is going to be a little bit more transformational than you might have thought. And with Mars sextiling it too, Mars is like, well, we're also going to be taking a lot more action on this than you might necessarily be ready for. And with Mars in Capricorn, Mars is ready to work. Mars is ready to do stuff. And I mean, we only have so much time until Mars goes into shadow, which that's when we start doing a lot more bigger changes, and that's when 2018 starts to get real. But with that being said, with this moon conjunct Jupiter sextiling Mars, whatever you're really believing right now, whatever that truth is, you will be seeing that in your actions, and that will be manifesting in that way. So this is a really good time to look at the results that you're creating at this moment and go, oh, that based off results, that's what you believe. Based off results, that's how you feel. So really take a good look at yourself and ask yourself these questions. Is this your truth? Is this where you need to be? And start taking action on that. And it's not about knowing exactly what to do, but it's about learning. Jupiter, we're learning lessons. Saturn is retrograde. We're learning lessons. We're learning about ourselves. And Saturn's retrograde right now, where we're restructuring who we are. Don't be afraid to take new action, and don't be afraid to fail. Failure is part of success. You got to get that right. No one's ever successful on the first try. So don't be afraid to fail, but don't be afraid to try something new. Try something different. Don't get excited about it. Just see what happens. And don't beat yourself up. This isn't a time to be like, oh, I suck at everything and I'm a failure and X, Y, and Z. No. Fail, that's totally okay, but just learn the lessons through it. Don't fail without getting any type of value from it, because then there's no such thing as failure. If you get something out of it, you really didn't fail. You just learned an awesome lesson. So with that being said, Sun starts to conjunct Jupiter on Monday, and this is going to be building out throughout the week. This is us, we're kind of radiating in this Taurian energy of, being grounded, being stable. That's really what we want. That's what we're expressing. As it opposes Jupiter, maybe we got to kind of shift that in a different way. But that's just starting this week, and we'll be hitting more on that next week. So with that being said, on Tuesday, Moon goes into Sagittarius. This is when, emotionally, we get to go, what's next? Where do we go from here? What's possible? And again, this is really emphasizing on that moon conjunct Jupiter stuff, because moon's going to be in Sagittarius, that Jupiter ruled sign, and this is really going to be deep. This is going to be a lot of exploration, a lot of asking questions. And the moon will be opposing Venus, where, you know, Venus is in Gemini, where it's like, well, you know, our sense of value, our sense of passion is coming from this Gemini mercurial understanding of who we are and communicating and learning and having all these new experiences. And as the moon opposes Gemini, it's kind of like, well, we've had all these new experiences, we've learned all these new things from the environment around us, but where are we taking it? Where are we going with it? So Tuesday through Wednesday, you know, really explore what's possible. Really explore the more optimistic side of, okay, you know, we just learned our truth, we just purged all that stuff out. What's next? Where are we really going? It's going to be face to face with your values, and there's going to be a lot. I mean, we're talking all mutable signs here, so it's going to be a lot on an intellectual level. So may create a little bit of anxiety, but to really relieve that, go towards the Neptune energy, because what is it going to be on Wednesday? The moon's going to be squaring Neptune, and Venus is going to be squaring Neptune as well, and Neptune's going to be in the middle of a T-square. And with Neptune and Pisces, where yes, our environment is confusing, everything is a lot on a, like, I mean, there's really no other way to describe Neptune and Pisces. Everything's just a lot right now, and it's gonna be for a while. But with that being said, on the sense of spirituality and the dualistic reality that we live in, you know, don't be afraid to kind of look within to see what's gonna work best for you. It's really easy to get caught up in our environment and pick a side, but that doesn't always work. It's all about, what do you value? What do you want to create, and what's more in alignment with your authentic self? And when I say authentic self, I'm talking about that inner God that you guys channel, that inner person that goes, you know what, I am great, I am capable, I am worthy, X, Y, and Z. So as the moon opposes Venus, squares Neptune, don't be afraid to ask yourself these questions. But it is going to be a very deep philosophical time where we're looking spiritually, like, hey, who am I? Like, what do I want? What is the experience that I want to create? This is Neptune here. We're talking about our dreams and our aspirations and, you know, all of that mystical fun stuff that we like to do. With that being said, on Thursday night, moon's going to be trining Uranus. That's when we're going to have more of that, not so much of the actual liberation and that breakthrough moment, but it's going to be kind of like, okay, I know where I'm kind of going now. I see where I kind of want to go. And then the moon's going to conjunct Saturn once it goes into Capricorn on Thursday night. And this is where it gets interesting, because as the moon conjuncts Saturn and Saturn's retrograde, this is all happening on Friday. There we go. Sorry, I was looking at my paper. As the moon conjuncts Saturn on Friday, Saturn's retrograde now. We're dealing out karma. We're really seeing, okay, where do I have to restructure myself? Where do I have to really tear down some walls that really don't work anymore? I mean, I love using that Berlin Wall example with the Saturn in Capricorn and Saturn's return type stuff. With all of these walls that we've created inside ourselves and the structure that we've built in, we're kind of tearing that down, and we're doing a, what is it called when, you know, buildings like refresh the, a renovation. There we go, that's the word I was looking for. So as the moon conjuncts it, emotionally, where do we have to I can't say that word, revenerate, I can't say that word right now, I don't know why. But where do we have to kind of redo things on the inside? What do we emotionally have to invest into? And the moon's gonna be in Capricorn. This isn't gonna be easy on the emotional aspect as far as like feeling the emotions. It's gonna be a little bit easier to stand away from them and be a little bit more closed off, but this is good. Do some internal work on yourself and get kind of serious. And then we also are going to have Sun trine Saturn, and Mercury is still going to be squaring Saturn. It's going to be leaving its square with Saturn on Saturday. So get excited about this stuff, because this is that last kind of moment where it's going to be a little bit mentally insane, a little bit hard, a little bit more pressure than what we really like. However, as the Sun trines it, we got to go back to, okay, we're in this Taurus season right now. What are we grounded in? What do we need to feel secure in? Where do we need to find stability? All of that kind of good stuff. And what do we really value? That's another good point to bring up. However, then the moon's going to be conjuncting Mars and Pluto later on Saturday as it squares Uranus and Mercury, but Mercury leaves its square to Saturn. So I know it sounds like a lot, but as Mercury, I would like to hit on that first. As Mercury leaves its square to Saturn, I mean, we've been dealing with that for a long time. Like, since Mercury entered shadow, basically, it's been squaring Saturn. So it's been like 6 weeks now where it's just been like this Mercury retrograde, you know, even though it's been great, it's been really difficult going, how do I view myself? What do I communicate to who I am? And how do I communicate my personality? And does that work anymore? Does that not work? Does it work? Do I need to change it? Do I need to fix it? Is it efficient? Is it effective? You know, and as Mercury finally leaves that square to Saturn, it's going to be like, okay, I finally know what mindset I need to put myself in order to move forward on the changes that we need to create on the internal level. And as the moon conjuncts Mars and Pluto, this is that emotional transformation of taking new action, taking new energy, and moving forward with it. We only have so much time until Mars goes into shadow, and you know, so that's a whole nother story. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. However, as the moon conjuncts Pluto, don't be afraid, and that's happening on Saturday. Don't be afraid to do something different. Don't be afraid to really drastically change some emotional, you know, ways that you kind of internalize everything and that you kind of like guard yourself almost. Again, like we're talking about walls that we kind of put up, and with the moon conjunct Pluto and that Capricorn energy, those walls, I don't want to say are going to come crashing down violently, but really be wary of like, hey, those walls may come down. There's some cracks in them, so don't be, you know, so shocked and surprised when things don't really work, but allow it to happen. Be ready for that change. Be ready for yourself to build new walls, and I don't want to say build new walls as in like you're closing yourself off, but building a new structure, building a new foundation, building something stable, building something that really works on an emotional level with yourself, because that's what the Saturn and Capricorn stuff's really all about. And as the moon conjuncts Mars, don't be afraid to take some new action. Stuff that's really going to be efficient. Stuff that's really going to be effective. Do something. It's kind of like a company. A company's not going to, you know, in their first year of business go way out of their way, spend way over their budget just to get, you know, the things that they really want. No, that doesn't really work. Mars in Capricorn is really conservative. It's making sure that where it takes its action, and where it really applies it is efficient and is effective. So as the moon conjuncts Mars, I don't want to say don't be afraid to fail, even though I was already talking about that, but do what's going to work. Do what you know works and go with that. Because then, after Mercury leaves its square to Saturn, thank God, we're finally getting all of that mental, you know, just frustration out is the best way to put it. We go into Sunday where Mercury starts its conjunction to Uranus. So that breakthrough, that mental breakthrough, it's finally coming after all of this time. Mercury starts its conjunction to Uranus, and slowly but surely that mental clarity is coming closer and closer and closer and closer. And once we have Mercury conjunct Uranus, right before Uranus goes into Taurus, like that's going to be the mental breakthrough that we need. But we got some time for that. But Mercury does start its conjunction with Uranus this week, so I mean on Sunday, by this time next week. So that's when the more mental liberation, the more the clarity moments will be coming in. So if you're like, when is this all going to happen? Don't be afraid. It is coming. With that being said, Moon goes into Aquarius. That's when it's going to start opposing the nodes, or I shouldn't say opposing the nodes. It'll be conjunct the South node, oppose the North node. It'll be squaring the Sun, squaring Jupiter. This is when it's time to get creative. This is when it's time to really explore, and not on that Sagittarian level of kind of like thinking about things, but really on the sense of where do you have to connect yourself? What do you, like, what does your beingness have to be in order to create these results? And it is going to be a lot to really look at. I mean, Aquarius is kind of like, it's like, I like to use the word gray. Like there's no boundaries. There's no limits. It's just pure creativity. You can look within it wherever you are, but that's that Saturn energy too of kind of like, don't go too far. You might get a little bit lost. You got to have to, you know, have some type of conservatism to really apply this energy in a really an effective way. But with that being said, as the moon goes into Aquarius, you know, it's kind of like, well, what do we have to kind of create? Where do we kind of have to be? Who do we have to connect with? And where do we have to really look within ourselves to kind of get these results that we're looking for? And it is going to be squaring Uranus, where it is going to be a little bit uncomfortable, especially as the moon goes into the last degrees of Capricorn and starts squaring Uranus. It is going to be a little bit uncomfortable, where Uranus and Aries just kind of wants us to be, I don't want to say triggered, but kind of like, hey, like, you know, where are we going with this? We want to either explode up or explode down, so choose one. And Neptune goes at 16 degrees Pisces on Sunday. I don't know why I wrote this down, probably Neptune. But with Neptune going at that 16 degrees Pisces and it's still trining Jupiter, like, we still have a lot of Neptune energy coming on here. So, you know, things are looking confusing. Things are very dualistic right now. You may be choosing one side or maybe choosing another. Don't get too caught up in that stuff. And with the moon being in Aquarius, it can be really easy to get caught up in that stuff. However, as the end of this week comes to close with with the moon in Aquarius, really look at your options. Really see how you can be creative. Look at how you can more identify with your authentic self, and see how you can connect that authenticity, that level of purity that you have with the people that you're around. And that's going to be in alignment with that Jupiter and Scorpio stuff. That is your truth. That is what you really believe. And it is going to be squaring the sun, where we want to feel secure and stable, but in order to grow, we can't be stable. You're either growing or decaying, and if you want to grow, it's going to involve you being uncomfortable and getting out of your comfort zone. And I think what the moon going into Aquarius and squaring the sun, that's what it's going to be about. So until next week, that's what I got for you guys. So again, thank you guys so much for watching all my videos, checking out my Facebook, White Light Astrology, checking out my website if you want to book a reading and you want all my information. It's all on my website at whitelightastrology.com. If you want to check out my Patreon and become a patron, or a patron, I'm still like, I don't know why I struggle so much with saying words correctly. It's like I used to be so clear in my communication as a child, and now it's like I feel like I have like dyslexia and I just say things so backwards. But anyway, check out my website if you want to become a patron, and check out my Patreon. I'd super appreciate it. But other than that, I'll see you guys next week, and thank you guys so much again.